have what we have looked at as perhaps the unsung heroes of welfare, support for government, assistance in some unusual manners that have been adding value to the society, and that's why we want to look at societal development, government, NGOs, synergy to the rescue. In one of our reports here, since yesterday night, we had a group of private sector, corporate groups coming together to make so much huge donation to assist in the current pandemic in terms of palliative. We have so many other things that some people are doing in assisting the government to achieve some of these things. We have some also involved in the polio eradication, for instance. We have avoidable blindness that some people are also involved. We have the Red Cross even at the center of the troubles in the Northeast and so many other parts of the world and all of that. So this kind of people who possibly out of their own tight schedules, they also create time to assist the government and the society. We want to know what is behind some of these things. Why do they choose to do all what they have been doing and things like that? And that's why I have two personalities in the house this morning to discuss this. First, I have an accountant, a mother and a wife also, and then she still creates this time to do some other things to assist in the societal good. And I have Mrs. Omolara Kuyoro with us. It's nice having you on the program.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We also have an educationist. That's his first primary area. One who also impacts knowledge to the young ones. But beyond this, is also involved in what I would call service above self. That's the motto of one of these popular international organizations, Mr. Titi Loye Beluola. It's nice having you on our program this morning. All right, Moses, the ball is now rolling.
Well, you're welcome to the program. Of course, let's get this started. Probably the first NGO was the anti-slavery movement in 1839, and from that time till now, you know that a whole lot has actually happened. So briefly, let's just review maybe some of the major contributions. Yes, Kari Taiwo has mentioned a few. Let's review some of the major contributions of NGOs to development of Nigeria over the years.
Thank you. Thank you, our hosts. Let me start from introducing the service club we represent. We are from Rotary Club of Obantuko, and as you know, Rotary International is an international organization that was founded in the year 1905 by Paul Harris. The theme of this year is Rotary Open Opportunity, and we are tapping into that. Let me start by giving us the update that non-governmental organization, which is Rotary, Rotary is part of, came together to pool their resources. We are professional men and women who come together to pool our resources together to better the lots of our community. How do we do that? Because of the passion we have, we are giving back to the society what the government is giving to us or what the society is giving to us. We have contributed in so many ways to alleviate the sufferings in our community. You would remember quite vividly that Rotary is the major anchor or the major frontliner in eradication of polio. It may interest you to know that we have just been given the certificates of free polio country. It used to be PAN. When I mean PAN is Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Nigeria. But we just got the certificates of free polio in Nigeria. You know how polio have wreaked havoc, but I'm proud to be a member of polio, championing the cause of putting smiles on the faces of children who would have been paralyzed from birth. That is just one of it. And the second aspect is, in Rotary, we have areas of focus. We have 6 areas of focus in Rotary, and the 7th was just added in July, which is tree planting, that's beautification of the environment. We have child and maternal health care. We have peace and conflict resolution through prevention. We have basic education and literacy. We have economic and community development. We have disease prevention and control. We have the last but not the least that has to do with economic and community development. In all these areas, Rotary have actually bettered the lot of the masses, like in my own clubs and other clubs in Abeokuta and Lagos State, because we have 2 districts in Lagos, and we have 1 district in Lagos comprising Lagos and Ogun. So those districts, we've been partnering to put smiles on the faces of the masses on these 7 areas of focus. The last one we did across the states was, number 1, we actually went around the place planting trees, because you know the planet Earth is endangered. So by planting trees, we are doing that to save the planet and beautify the environment. All the clubs under our district actually did that project in so many areas. Okay. In our own case, we did it in...
Let me just quickly, sorry, you will still continue to tell us. No, well, it's understandable, since you said you are a Rotarian, but maybe that's why most of your emphasis has been on what Rotary does. But we are actually looking at the entirety of NGOs, the principles behind what they do and all of that, so that I know some other NGOs are, like even the Lions, the JCs, even we have those ones that are attached to even religious organizations, and you know, we have the brigade. Yes. All these people are volunteers. So it is the entirety of what this group of societies are doing that we really want to examine this morning. It won't be a bad idea if you have some examples, like you mentioned, the issue of polio and tree planting. But beyond Rotary, it's what we are looking at. I don't know whether Moses still want to throw the next one, so that
okay, maybe.
I just want to put the discussion in perspective. So that
yes. So, Mr. Titiloye, away from, of course, we know that NGOs are classified into 3: the international NGOs, the national NGOs, and the local NGOs. She has talked about Rotary. Yes, I could classify that as one of the international NGOs, that we have the Lions Club, Red Cross, and the likes. But we know that there is also what I could call proliferation of local NGOs in recent times. What, in your own view, what might have led to this? Many of the local NGOs that we have now.
Many things. The proliferation of the non-governmental organization. When we start, let's look at what led to formation of these NGOs. It's an obvious fact that government alone cannot single-handedly shoulder the responsibility for development. It's like that all over the world. However, in situations where we have a poor regulation of some social institutions, the tendency to abuse is very, very high. Now, when you're talking about setting up of NGOs, how much of education do most of these people that have the desire to set up these NGOs, what motives are they? Before you can set up an NGO, there must be something at the back of your mind. Maybe you want to tackle poverty, maybe it's going to be human trafficking, or maybe it's going to be, again, disaster management, diseases, and so on. What are the major focus of these NGOs? Immediately, that issue is not properly addressed. the tendency for proliferation to set in is very, very high. And the tendency to abuse the rationale behind the setting up of this NGO, you cannot rule that one out as well.
So, can we now say that has been abused? Maybe to an extent, with the proliferation?
To an extent, it has been abused. To an extent, it has been abused. And it's not that the issue is beyond redemption. It's far from it. The issue is still within the purview of redemption, provided the major stakeholders can go back to re-strategize. And government in its mediatory role, because government has important functions to play in the area of legislation, monitoring and supervision, funding through subvention. With that, you know, there's an adage: he who pays the piper dictates the tune. Government obvious intervention in forms of regulation will properly address this problem of proliferation.
But NGOs should be devoid of government interference, that I say non-governmental organizations. With what you've tabled now, talking about maybe more legislations and regulations, won't this look as if there is interference coming from that angle?
Thank you, sir. The fact that NGOs are independent bodies doesn't imply that they still do not operate within the purview of the government. For instance, look at what is happening in the northeastern part of Nigeria. We have some NGOs in most of these IDPs. They would have been able to come to Nigeria, to move to that axis of Nigeria without government approval. Whatever they do there, the government is aware of that. So we cannot totally play the government out of the whole scenario.
Okay, Mrs. Kuro. Now, in your experience as someone who has been involved in different kinds of, you've listed quite a number. To what extent have you possibly noticed that government has been complementing the efforts of these NGOs or these activities by volunteers?
Thank you. Let me start by informing us that the last time district governor came on board, even before he came on board, other district governors have been paying solidarity visits to the president, and they table their budget before the president. And they've been receiving support, because I could recollect during the time of the last district governor, that's Dr. What's the name of my last the last district governor. He actually went to the president and they agreed on putting their resources together to also eradicate polio. He even vaccinated a child when they were there. He vaccinated a child, and the magazine carried it, where the president was actually the one vaccinating the child. The synergy is there, but maybe because of lack of awareness, those at the top, they are not aware of so many things going underneath. It is by the time you carry yourself to them and what you represent, that is when they will be able to listen to your cause and also synergize with you in that particular area. I believe the information, the publicity is not much. Maybe because of the barrier or bottleneck of even seeing them. Because by the time you are in high place, seeing those people is a problem. Protocols upon protocols. That is the more reason why we have not been seeing the impacts of these NGOs on the society. They are allowed a free, let me say, a free access to those people that be. I believe the impact will be so massive. But because they are restrained, nobody wants to be associated with NGOs. They felt maybe these people is still same. We don't trust ourselves again in Nigeria. We don't trust ourselves. They say, okay, these people, they are a bunch of this. Maybe after giving them, what they're after is to embezzle the money. But no. If you are an NGO, you know what you're out to protect. Like Dr. Titulo accurately said, there should be NGO for specific task. By the time you carry too much task, there's going to be problem. Child trafficking, humanitarian NGO, prevention of child labor, disaster management, all those things. By the time we have those NGOs and the president or the governors, they are ready to ally with them and create a synergy. I tell you, Nigeria will be a better place for each and every one of us.
Okay, all right, Dr. Titile. Now, even in this present pandemic, we have some group of people who also volunteer, even without necessarily being health workers. They volunteered to support government efforts and all of that, in spite of the danger involved. Do you think it is just for the purpose of interest, or that something pecuniary is also behind the mindset of some of these either volunteers or NGOs or service clubs that always want to stick out their neck where ordinary people will not want to? Because my understanding of service is doing what people will not want to do ordinarily. Because if you want to say service, that means you are not expecting something back. So what's the driving force for some of these people? Because during the COVID, when it was hot up there are so many people who volunteered to join the health workers to assist in this and all of that. What's the driving force?
In a particular cultural republic of South Africa, there's a particular concept, they call it Ubuntu, humanity.
Ubuntu?
Ubuntu.
Okay.
Meaning humanity.
There are people, the only religion they have in life is humanity. Whether they are Christian, Muslim, traditional worshippers, they are not bothered. Okay. What is sacrosanct to them is humanity. The COVID-19 pandemic is likened to a world war, and every hand must come on board. Given the antecedent of pandemics over the centuries, some people have prior knowledge. Of course, nobody ever anticipated as this thing will happen, and nobody ever have any thought that it's going to take us up to this time. And immediately it happens, they knew that we must not abandon the responsibility of tackling this to only government and frontline health workers.
Okay.
Others have to come on board. Whether you are a social worker, whether you are an engineer, an accountant, you are in the media, wherever you are, you have something important to contribute, because we are all affected.
Okay.
If we are not infected, we are affected. We know that for the bulk of this year, 2020, things are not being the way they used to be. And in addressing it, for us to go back to the prior normal, we are in a new normal. Before we can go back to the prior normal, all hands must be on deck, because the pandemic is not, it does not know anybody. It affects both the poor, the rich, the educated, the non-educated, and so on.
Okay. Now, the general feelings is that most of the activities of these NGOs, either indirectly or surreptitiously sponsored by government. Is it not like one is taken from right to service left? Or where, because if you look at some of these major, those ones that we can identify, for instance, the issue of polio. Each time you hear government talking about spending so huge sum, and we know that organizations like Rotary also has a whole lot of effort in this. Source of funding some of these things, where does it really come from? If Rotary, Lions, and all of them are international organizations, what about the small NGOs? Even some of these motherless homes that are privately owned, some people, they still got the places funded. How do they raise these funds? Is it from government or just that they use their personal money?
Yes, so it's still from the NGO, because I could recollect that it's part of the project we have on ground. We've been visiting some motherless babies home. We've been donating. By the time you call them, they will tell you that it is some spirited Nigerians that have been assisting them. No single person can do it. The NGOs have been coming to the rescue. If you have passion for something, you will always want to be of assistance, no matter what. And I believe I listened to a woman that was brought here. He was one of those that is taking care of this motherless baby, and they asked her how she has been going about it. And that was what she said, that they do get support from Rotary clubs, from other non-governmental organizations, from Rotaractors, name it. They come there to donate and to also give them what they feel they will need to support those children that were left to the hands of death. So I tell you, NGOs, they are really trying. But if only governments can open their arms and give them free will to always get an access to them, the synergy will be monumental.
Okay.
It will be monumental.
Are you indirectly saying that presently the relationship between some of these non-governmental organizations and government officials are not too cordial?
Not too cordial. It's not too cordial. If it is cordial, Nigeria would have been a better place for you and I. Because those people, getting access to them is a problem. Protocols.
It's like you've had some experiences.
Yes, that, protocols upon protocols. You might even wait for days without seeing them. So how do you synergize? And you know, these resources we are pulling together is not something that can go around and make impact. It is only when we have a larger chunk of it coming from those people who actually believed that it is their responsibility to better the lot of Nigerians that it will go around. What are we contributing? If not for the international organization that is assisting us, whatever we contribute, they will match it with a particular grant. With that, we've been able to be doing so many things, and people are very, very happy seeing that Rotary is actually bridging the gap between the poor and the rich.
Yeah, now, talking about synergy, what exactly do you want from the government?
Yes, I want the government to give us an audience. Let us table our budget. Let us table our plight before them. Let's look at ways whereby, because we are closer to the community, to the downtrodden. We know them. We know the downtrodden. By the time government give us an audience to tell them that, look, this is how we're going to do it in order for you to have a very developed economy. Sincerely, I tell you, it won't take us anything because we know them. We live among them. But those people in power, they don't know them. That is why I'm telling you that the synergy would be great if we are allowed to get closer to them and table our issue before them, that this is what we want to do. If you can assist us with this much, and we'll give them feedback. That is why Rotary and other service organizations is superb. Whatever they do, if they have grants from other places, they give feedback. They do what we call retirement. This is what will be a pictorial retirement, not just ordinary pictorial, where you can assess the impact of what we have actually done.
Okay, now still on funding, I could recall that Margon and Johnston, I mean, these are researchers. I believe that NGOs undergoing crisis of accountability and transparency, even at the international level. You as an accountant, how do you think NGOs could be accountable or could be transparent, since they are getting the funds from international donors, from individuals at times, and even government?
Well, let me say, I will not want to dive into other NGOs, whether they are accountable or not, but the organization we represent, we are accountable. We are very, very accountable for whatever fund we are given. My honorable gentleman seated here, Rotarian Katie, is also a living witness. He is a Rotarian. At the end of every Rotary year, we give stewardship account of what we have, the resources we got. We prepare our accounts. Even the districts that collect funds on behalf of other clubs from the Rotary International, they also give account of the funds. So we are accountable. And I've not seen a year where we have issues of accountability in Rotary. I don't know of other clubs, but I can only speak for my organization.
Okay, now, Doctor, Mrs. Kuyoro said something in the submission just now, that if government could be more open, that non-governmental organization will be ready to complement, and but from the submission she made, I have these feelings that are we not possibly trying to say that NGOs will take responsibility for what government should be doing? If they really make themselves open and we say, okay, is it water for this community? Let the NGOs do it. What would the government be doing then?
That is, of course, government will be handling.
Okay.
Non-governmental organizations play complementary role to whatever government does. So, fighting a particular war using two-pronged approach will quickly hasten the end of the war. If government decides to churn out policies against mass pauperization, and NGOs are at the same time fighting poverty through their programs and projects, getting the people out of poverty will just be faster. So NGO now, government now advocating its primary role to NGOs will not happen at all, sir. So far, government is doing its own, NGO is doing its own, and it's a symbiotic relationship. The people concerned will have better impact of the activities of both government and non-government.
All right. Now, across the country presently, we have quite a number of community states where we can't say the situation is ideal. For instance, from the dailies, yesterday there were attacks in southern Kaduna, and so many people were killed. And I know that different kinds of organizations take the issue of conflicts and peace and conflict resolution as important. Now, looking at a situation like this, in Zamfara, bandits are killing. In Katsina, they are killing. Let's even leave the issue of terrorists in the northeast. At least terrorists are terrorists. There's no compromise about that. But these other ones that look like conflicts within communities, as non-governmental organization, do you see a situation where groups like your own could come into this kind of situation and possibly provide solution? Is there a possibility that if government cannot handle this, could the non-governmental organizations push ahead and do something about that?
Yes, we can. Because like I mentioned earlier, peace and conflict resolutions to prevention is part of the focus area in Rotary. And it may interest you to know that we do send our members on training abroad in order to study how they will go about resolving conflicts. It's a certificated program. Every year, we send interested people to go and study how they will prevent conflict and also resolve conflict.
Does that mean that such trainings has not been effective in Nigeria? Because there are a lot of conflicts everywhere, even those ones that are being managed and those ones that are escalating to...
There are a lot of conflicts, but let me put it this way. If it is politically motivated, how would you resolve it?
Okay.
How would you resolve it?
If it is politically motivated,
how would you resolve such? It is only the conflict that is not politically motivated that you can resolve. And don't forget that the root cause of every conflict is the panacea to solving the conflict. How do we get to the roots? non-governmental organizations can assist. I believe they can assist in resolving the conflicts that are not politically motivated. But all other conflicts that are politically motivated, they have to be done the right way.
Okay. What's your take on that issue of conflict resolution?
Yeah, let us just look at the definition given to conflict by late Professor West. He said conflict is always as a result of breakdown in human reasoning, in human communication. And the quest of addressing conflict. In every community, there are power structures.
Okay.
And there are significant orders. Approaching this power structure and the significant orders, and through the process of human capacity building. There's no way you want to build peace without starting it from the mind. You have to make people understand. At the end of the day, what do you stand to gain? What do you stand to lose? When you make them serious through the process of human capacity building, and you are able to approach the power structure in that community, and you are able to approach the significant orders in that community, which our own organization has been doing. We won't be at the forefront of carrying arms or weapons in the bid to achieve peace, but penetrating the power structure and opinion shapers in that community will be a very good way of addressing the conflict. And what you said is happening in northwestern Nigeria now. Historical antecedents lend credence to the fact that there are a lot of underlying factors. And if human capacity building through training, just like Madam has rightly pointed out, has been adopted, approaching the power base. Now, I'm talking about traditional rulers and sort of opinion shapers in those communities would have gone a long way in achieving the peace we are now struggling with.
Yeah, okay, still on the peace and conflict, we know that NGOs are mostly at the grassroots. When you see signs of conflict, who do you report to? Do you have the ears of the government? Do you inform the police force? Tell them that there are signs that certain crises could escalate?
Yeah, honestly, it's a complex issue because I personally, as an individual, when it comes to government, actually a lot of things have been politicized. So that might not actually be the most appropriate thing to be done at the onset. Within each community, I refer to some people as significant orders. And I mentioned power structure. Approaching those people, because they know the terrain very well. Government does not know the terrain. You don't need to deceive ourselves. So those people, immediately they are approached, will call their attention that this is what is happening. And this is what most likely be the consequences. Allowing them to see, to know what is happening, because it's possible for something to be happening under your nose and you won't know. So when you call their attention to it, some of them are even like, oh, thank you very much. I never knew such a thing is going on. Okay, I will try to put my house in order. Oh, what do you feel I can do? Now, you being the outsider, you might have an objective appraisal of the situation better than an insider that will do it on the basis of subjectivity. So, will go a long way in addressing the issue.
All right. Madam, there is this other side of NGOs, government synergy that worries someone like me. And that's the fact that you see quite a number of projects around. You see borehole here, donated by so organization. Even we have some that are individually donated. Even some of these our politicians also do some for their constituency, like borehole. But most times, all these things are not functioning. Now, using your own organization experience, when you do project for community, who takes over after you have commissioned it? Who looks after it to ensure that these things are functioning? Because if you spend so much money, time, and all of that to do something, and after some months, you now go back there and you discover that the place is, the thing is not functioning again. You must be worried. How do we sustain this?
Thank you. That is why I say Rotary is an organized body. Because after we execute any project, we also establish committee. We call them Rotary Community Corps. He mentioned it, that if only government can monitor most of its projects, we would have been in a better world. In Rotary, what we do is do the project, then commission those people that will be taking care of the project.
From members of the...
From members of the community.
Oh, okay. Okay. No,
Then, as the club that did the project, we also go, even we visit impromptu. We go there to visit when the least expected, to know if actually the water is running, or whatever project we gave to them, if they're making effective use of it. So it's an organized body. Rotary Community Corps would be there to monitor the running of running of the water or whatever project we have executed in any community. And we also have a member of our club as representative. Okay, in that community corps. So whatever happens, we have a foreknowledge of it. Okay. We have a foreknowledge of it.
Okay, but in a case where there are many communities that need a particular project, you don't have the resources to take it to every community. You have to choose either one or two. What do you look at? What about the selective process?
Yes, we do needs assessments. Needs assessment is the adjective. What we do is, if this population is 1,000, this population is 2,000, this population is 3,000, definitely by the time we do it to the population that is 3,000, more will benefit than the population that is 1,000 or 2,000. So we do it according to the number of beneficiaries. If the number of beneficiaries are much, better for us, then all other beneficiaries will be put in the waiting list. So we do according to the number of people that will benefit from such projects.
All right. Now, we want to now move a little bit towards the working relationship between non-governmental organizations and the government, because like the two of you said in your opening remarks, that government alone cannot provide everything.
It cannot.
Everything. And now, coming to you, Doctor, now, to what extent these non-governmental organizations optimize the opportunities that government provided for them? Because I know that the government also registered some of these organizations for the purpose of identification and working relationship. Do you think Nigerian NGOs have actually maximized these opportunities? Because when you read from other countries, you will discover that it's like they are making good use of the opportunities of their organization. But it seems in Nigeria we are not yet there. What exactly is causing this? Is it what Madam said earlier on, that they are difficult to meet or something, to access? What's your opinion on this?
Politics and politicization.
Politics and politicization. But NGOs are not involved in politics?
I'm talking about government.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
You know, government has the power of the media, the propaganda machine. Okay. NGOs do not have it. It's a different thing coming on here to say that, okay, we have formulated social policies and we have implemented it. And in the real sense, those that are actually affected are not feeling the impact. It's not that government is not doing it, government is trying, but government just need to up the game to walk the talk, because we have what we are working towards, and it is multifaceted. It's not just one. It could be poverty, alleviation. It could be child spacing. Okay. Let me call your attention to this. In the late 80s, during the administration of Ibrahim Babangida, the issue of 4 children per family or
a woman.
Of a woman. It was because government was interested in that particular policy. That was why it was able to achieve the minimal success it achieved. Before government started hammering on it, remember there was an international, a non-governmental organization on ground, the PPFM, Planned Parenthood Federation of Nigeria.
Yeah.
But because of advocacy, and remember, illiteracy is a major problem. So the organization was not able to achieve much. But when government decided how to come out with a policy, they backed it with a strong advocacy. Even local musicians then were singing about that particular program. People started adjusting. Though some never adjusted, but majority did. And it was because government never made politics, never politicized that particular program. That was why it was a success.
Okay, Madam, time is really fast spent, but perhaps the last question. It's a no-brainer that the pandemic has grounded lots of activities, but activities are gradually returning in full swing. So what have your organization, your NGO, or maybe you should look at it holistically, during the period of lockdown, what assistance were you able to render?
Thank you. We are also parts of the society, and we know how hard things were for the masses. So that is why in our organization, we did palliative packages we distributed in our communities. We did palliative packages we distributed. The photographs are there. All the Rotary clubs in Abeokuta, we are given packages which we distributed across board. And also at the district level, we also did it. We also presented some, like Rotary Club of Abeokuta also presented some PPEs and some medical materials to some hospitals. So we've been in the front liner of this preventive, how do I put it? Preventive measures. In our own clubs, this is part of what we did, sanitizer and soap washing, sanitizer and soap, how do I put it?
Soap,
yes. So we presented all this to our communities in our own little ways, because that is the brain of the government, that we should have our nose masks, we should always wash our hands, we should always sanitize our hands. So we took that and did it as a project and presented to our community. And they're happy about it. CDAs. We took our CDAs. Every Rotary Club in Abeokuta gathered their CDA, and they did it at their own end. So we did the much we believe we can do. And the government also supported. And in our own little ways, our own even went round than that of the government.
All right. Doctor, just he said, time is fast spent, but we can still take this. Where do you see the relationship between government and the NGOs in the next couple of, maybe in the next 10 years, talking about the good they can possibly bring to the society? What are your expectations that to bring some development to our communities in terms of relationship between NGOs and the government?
I'm optimistic, sir. I believe that with mutual understanding and respect from both parties, the society will benefit a lot, because whatever government achieves, it is the society that will be at the receiving end. And whatever NGOs, whatever they do, it is the society that will be at the receiving end. They both understood each other, government and non-governmental organizations, and they believe they are working towards achieving the same objective. It will be beautiful thing for the society. But in the next 10 years, just like you said, sir, I believe that things will work out better than this.
All right. I think it's time for us to begin to pack our...
Yes, we have to go now, and many thanks for coming. I think it's been quite enlightening and, of course, informative. And to those watching also, many thanks for allowing us to be a part of your morning. So why not please do stay safe and stay healthy, and of course have a lovely weekend. Bye for now.